I'll call to order this meeting of the Nelson County Board of Education on Tuesday, April 17th, 2018 at approximately 5:01 p.m. We'll start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. So the Nelson County Board mission statement: the Nelson County Board of Education, representatives of our citizens and entrusted with our children, pledges to support the mission of the Nelson County School District by setting visionary direction through effective policy, oversight, and efficient resource management. The district vision statement: quality education now, learning for life. Second item on the agenda, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, only we have one change that was made. It's been handed out into tonight's agenda, but we did put back in the audit contract under efficient resource management.
Okay, so under 5A, we've got the audit contract to go over.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to item 3, student and shareholder engagement. 3A, student performance. So, Mr. Brown.
Ms. Victory from Cox's Creek, turn it over to you.
Hi, I'm Haley Victory, the principal at Cox's Creek Elementary. These leaders that you see here are the second grade students from Ms. Reisner's second grade class, and Ms. Reisner's and Ms. Lear's class. Today they're going to be performing a musical number for you. This spring we had our kindergarten first, second spring musical, and each class at Cox's Creek Elementary gets to do a musical performance for that. I also want to introduce to you Ms. Kelly Spoonamore. She is our fabulous music and art teacher at Cox's Creek Elementary. Ms. Spoonamore has done a great deal for our school community. We're very proud of our music program. 4th and 5th grade students get to participate in a holiday performance. 3rd grade students do a Veterans Day performance, and then kindergarten, 1st and 2nd graders do the spring musical. So we're excited that we have that to offer to each class and each grade level. And these 2nd graders are going to present Chim Chimmery from Mary Poppins, and it was a crowd favorite. So we hope you like it.
They want to hear this beautiful voice.
Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chimney. A sweet is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chimney. Good luck will rub off when I shake hands with you. Or blow me a kiss. And that's lucky too. Now as the ladder of life has been strung, you might think the sweets on the bottom will rung. No, I simply found in the ashes and smoke. It is so hard to know how to go. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chimney. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chimney. Good luck will rub off when I shake hands with you. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chimney. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chimney. Good luck will rub off when I shake hands with you. I choose sweet bristles with pride, yes I do. A broom full of shot and a brush full of flu.
That's it. Let me turn up a little bit.
When the smoke is all billowed in bright moons and stars. It's a truly sweet world. Where there's hardly no day, hardly no night. There's things off the shadows and halfway in the light. On the rooftops of London, what a sight. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chimney. When you're in the sweep, you're in glad company. The weather's there, more happier crew. And then what sings chim chim chiree, chim chiroo. Chim chimney, chim chim chiree, chim chiroo.
Thank you guys so much. They did great.
Thank you all.
We definitely can see why it was a fan thing.
Fabulous job, nice job, guys.
What grade?
Second grade, this is our second grade
I'd be like to be able to
Our good news reader today is Miss Madison Webbington in our second grade group.
There is growth occurring with the greenhouse of the Academy. Students have a variety of the plants that they are growing for your garden that should be ready at the beginning of May. Mr. Mattingly should be sending out a list to all staff in the next week. On March 30th, students at Bloomfield Elementary were able to be part of our annual STEAM Day. We had a wonderful day filled with experiments, a presentation by Lon Jones, a visit from some local dairy, goats and cows, animal identification from fish and wildlife, and great presentations by the UK Agriculture Department. Bloomfield Middle School archery team qualified for nationals for the second year in a row. BMS has 22 students participating in KMEA's solo and ensemble event on Saturday, April 28th. This is more than the school has ever sent in its history. BMS Advanced Band scored a proficient rating at KMEA's concert festival. Boston's archery team competed at the state tournament last month and qualified for nationals. They will compete in May. Fourth grade students at Cox's Creek Elementary participated in the Entrepreneur Fair. Students designed and marketed a good or service and learned important economic concepts. The ELC faculty and staff are working on creating an outdoor classroom to open in the fall. There will be learning opportunities in the area of gardening and nature exploration. The Foster Heights 5th grade students participated in the government project-based learning unit focused on the process of a bill becoming a law. Students Kennedy Hamilton and Hannah Tipton were the winning group with their bill to keep our oceans cleaner with stricter penalties for ocean littering. New Haven held their first STEAM Day before spring break. Students were given the opportunity to explore various STEAM activities as visitors from various locations joined us for the day. Thomas Nelson seniors, John Magdalene, and Eli Brady have performed nearly all other boaters at the state bass fishing tournament and advanced onto the nationals at Pickwick Lake, Alabama in June. Yes!
Well presented. Yeah, I'm so, while small in stature, pretty big in voice there. Thank you very much for reading that for us. Moving on into item number 4, the operations consent agenda. This consists of information, personnel actions, treasurer's report, bills and claims, munis report, leaves of absence, minutes from previous meetings, notice of shortened school day, and Perkins grant. All of these were items that were part of the package of agenda that was presented to us last week.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Breeding, second by Ms. Berry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on into item 5, then efficient resource management. 5A, the audit contract, be Mr. Hawkinsmith.
All right, each year in April or May, could be approved as late as next month, we bring to you a recommendation for selection of our auditor, and we are recommending to you tonight that you award the fiscal 18 audit contract to Stiles and Carter and Associates. I'll remind you that for several years we were with Brown Company, and then a number of years ago we switched and Smith and Associates began doing our audit. And a year or so ago, around a year ago this time, Jason Strange, who's our primary contact at Smith and Associates, left that firm to go to work for Stiles and Carter. So we still will continue to work with Jason Strange as one of our primary contacts with Stiles and Carter, but he does have, he is with the new firm, Stiles, and they do a number of school district audits. We have people in our district. Last year we had them here that we've not worked with before, so you are getting a fresh set of eyes. But we also have the benefit of having that connection to Jason Strange, who knows our district. So we're going to recommend to you that you award the contract for the FY18 audit to Stiles and Carter. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them. The price, by the way, probably a question you might have, is $15,950. I believe it was $15,750 last year. I think that's a 1.3% increase. It's a fair price for doing our audit for sure, I think.
Something that you just said there, I think in the past you've shared with us, it can always be good to have someone that understands our processes, which Jason still would, but also at times, every few years, it's a good practice to switch possibly to other people digging into the books, because that way then they may see things from a different set of eyes. So it sounds like possibly we're getting both of those in this one approach.
That's the way I would describe it. And a couple of items after this on the agenda tonight is a recommendation that came directly from Stiles and Carter last year. That's why we have that before you tonight, because of that recommendation we received from the folks that are working with Jason, that folks we've not worked with before. And they do a lot of other school district audits, and that's where that recommendation came out of.
Ms. Breeden, did you have a question? Or?
I was just gonna, just to kind of confirm that, so Jason's going to be a resource, but there's going to be someone else who's actually going to be doing it.
We'll have a team. Jason will be a part of the team, but they'll be, they'll have probably 4 people here that work together. He'll be a part of the team for sure. But again, last year they had, and they'll, I assume it'll be similar to last year where they have 3 or 4 people here for a couple of weeks, and they divide things differently every year.
Sounds like that. I mean, Jason still the, I guess, auditor by official signature. It's just as part of the team.
Actually, I think the principal of the firm signs the audit. Yeah, it's not Jason. He just is my contact with the firm now.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Concerns? Okay.
As long as, like I said, as long as the same person doesn't do it, that's just not practice.
Well, that's why I asked the question, is it,
Yeah.
Fairly accustomed to seeing variety in the changing of the role from time to time in other sectors.
Do we have a motion then?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Breeding,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Dickerson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving to 5B, the finance officer bond. Again, Mr. Hawkinsmith.
do this every year. You're required by statute to have a specific bond for your finance officer or treasurer. It says treasurer there, that's my mistake. It actually should say finance officer. That title changed a few years ago with the retirement of Ms. Cundiff. Some of you all may remember her. But Wanda Parker's our district finance officer, and we're asking that you approve her bond tonight. And I'll remind you, I think I do this annually, we have a blanket bond for all employees in the district that handle money. So you have school bookkeepers, myself, finance staff, other folks, that there's a blanket bond through our insurance policy that covers all those folks. But this is a specific bond required by statute for the finance officer.
Okay, so then we would need a motion to approve the bond for Finance Officer Wanda Parker for the fiscal 2018-2019 year.
Motion?
Motion by Ms. Berry,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Breeding. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And then 5C, financial policy. Mr. Hawkins.
I'm pinch hitting for Ms. Powell in this, with this one tonight, but this did come directly out of last year's audit with Stiles and Carter. This is policy, board policy 4.92. You don't have this in your packets. I just printed this earlier today. And I'll read it. Federal funds received by the district are to be administered and federally funded personnel expenses documented in accordance with applicable uniform grant guidance requirements. Now, KSBA provided us that policy as a recommendation last summer due to some changes in statute, and we adopted it, and we felt like, and KSBA felt like that was sufficient. The audit, when they came in the fall, their recommendation was that we get a little more specific. So KSBA has us adopt one sentence. I sort of like one sentence. However, the auditor, and again, that's why we hire them. We hire them for their opinion and for them to give us guidance. They're asking that we get a little more specific. That's why you have this 34-page document that basically describes what we've done for years in our district. So what we're asking you to do is approve a first reading of this document tonight. We'll come back next month for a second reading, and I will assure you that this is what we do now and have done for years. They just asked us to compile it in one procedure. That's what this is. We're asking that you consider that for approval, at least first reading.
I have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, first thing, I do money, so I'm gonna ask it. I printed this out and went over it. Where did this come from? What school district? What KSBA or what? Because there's a lot of material here that.
Well, actually, we took a template that was created in another school district.
Where?
Simpson County. And these policies are all things, travel policies and disposal of assets that are purchased with federal funds, all sorts of things that you'll find throughout this document are things we already do, that we've done for years. We follow this now, we're already doing it. We're just asking you to approve a procedure that reflects what we already do.
Yeah,
but the document itself came, the original version of it came from Simpson County. It was provided by the auditor.
Because there's a lot of information here, like I said, and I come from a county background, so I'm just asking some questions. Only other thing I see on here was on page where it describes review and approval of the budget. I don't mind I call you the money man. I don't mind you and the federal,
What page are you on?
funded. I'm on page 6.
Okay.
I only think it's appropriate if your superintendent is included, simply because the superintendent is the one that's ultimately responsible for the money. So I've seen several places in here that I would appreciate adding the superintendent to such things.
Okay.
Because I would just feel more comfortable that way. One person doesn't control it all, or two people doesn't control it all. And superintendent's supposed to be the man that is supposed to have it, cover us.
Sure.
That's just, usually when you work for a company, the boss is the main man too. So I just would feel better if more people, if the three of you sat down and figured all that, or where expenses come from,
Sure.
where to, the budget and how to make the budget work.
What we'll do is we will make that suggested change in yellow or red or something. We'll get that back out to you over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Where
Great.
you have an opportunity to see that.
Great.
And if there's no additional suggestions, that'd be the only change for the second reading. But honestly, I think that's a good suggestion, and we're glad to incorporate that into the document.
Yeah, because some things aren't as specific as I wish they were, but I can understand why, because it is a school district. And it's hard to pinpoint things when money is received and money is used, because you get it in at different times,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's
Some
more
grants
hard
we get
to,
the funding up front, some we get it after the fact.
later in
So
the
it's-
year and different times, and it's split up in different directions. Okay, that's primarily, other than that, if I see something else, I'll say something in the next meeting or something, but from what I went over, and I've spent a couple of days going over, including conflict of interest and everything, so it's pretty good. I mean, it's real thorough, and that's all you can ask for, is to be as thorough as we can make it.
Give Ms. Pyle credit for that. She's the one who worked on it, put it together. Again, she couldn't be here tonight, but here on her behalf. So,
Let me ask more about the policy, and not the words within it, but the fact of it being policies and procedures. So you held up a document just a moment ago, was the one sentence. Is that the actual policy
It is
in?
4.92.
Okay. And is that policy being modified any, or is that staying as is?
That policy will stay as is, and we will adopt and we will assign a procedure number to this document.
To attach it to
To
that
attach,
policy.
absolutely. And folks will be able to go to the website, just like they can. That's where I want you to print this. They'll be able to go print this 34-page document as a procedure,
So-
once it's adopted.
So then that would lead me to the question then, and I may be misthinking on this. Policies, we have a first and a second. Procedures, we just have a first reading, one reading. Is that correct?
That's correct, but we have a change.
Right. And I just want to make sure that we had clarification on that, is that since what we're focused here on is the procedure, that we'll do that, those suggested changes, which like you said, I think those are good suggestions as well. And that then at our next meeting, it will be, if there's no other changes, it will be the one and only reading of a procedure. I just want to make sure that I am thinking right on that. I kind of keep looking around the corner at Chip there. Just making sure that since this is only a procedure that is being created, that it will just be a single reading. It's just that tonight won't be that single reading since we've got some suggested edits.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And just to add to that, Ms. Powell and I chatted about this multiple times, and I think our thinking was with bringing it to you twice, we're asking you to look at the 34-page document, and it is new. You've not approved this, but it's not like a minor wording change in a previous procedure that you already had. This is new, so that's our rationale behind maybe looking at it a couple of times.
And I think that's good rationale there, because again, like you said, long document, lot of reading, finding the little odds and ends like what you had mentioned there. But that way then, if we don't have any other suggested edits, then at the next meeting, whenever this comes back up again, that will be the one reading for it as a procedure.
Okay, I got one more question. Why did it take so long? I mean, if we've been doing this procedure all along, and we've had federal funding all along for that monies to be spent or how to be spent, why did we just now get it, and why didn't the auditor say anything?
Well, again, the auditor did last fall,
We
and,
didn't hear it.
well, because we didn't think we needed it. Again, KSBA's guidance was one-line procedure, or one-line
Yeah, I
policy
understand that.
was sufficient. And that's where we were. We agreed with them. We didn't, again, we have an auditor, we have a new auditor this past year, their opinion. And I'll tell you, anytime we've changed auditors, we've always changed some things because they want things a certain way. And they have certain views on things. And this new firm wanted this policy or this procedure adopted to accompany that policy. So that's why we're bringing it to you. Cheryl's been working on it for some time now, and we didn't get that guidance from them until in the fall, and so that's why we're bringing it to you just now.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure, I mean, in my mind. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Item number 6, college and career readiness. 6A, Title I policy. Mr. Brown.
Yes, again, refer to your information paper in your package that Ms. Powell had for you. Ms. Powell and Ms. Williams and Ms. Brown are attending a conference today and tomorrow, and so that's why they're not here tonight. This is our Title I parent involvement policy. We must do this every year. There's no change in the policy, but it has to have board action yearly. And so I ask that you adopt, again, this policy. There are no changes, but it must be reviewed and updated if necessary, but it is the exact same in parent involvement policy from last year.
And this is to be able to access the Title I funds since we've got more than $500,000 a year.
Yes, that's correct.
I make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Berry,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Breeden. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 7, safe and caring environment. 7A, Auerbach School of Occupational Therapy of Spalding University, MOA.
I think you guys got the copy of that. Basically what that is the internship program for occupational therapists from Spalding to be able to work with our occupational therapists and get service hours and that kind of thing. So they've sent that MOA. We haven't contracted with them or had an agreement with them before, so that's what I'm bringing for to you guys first.
And this just allows their students to be able to participate here within our school system under the guidance, under the supervision of the occupational therapy folks that we have.
Yes, just like K-TIP or anything else that we
Like student teaching.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so need a motion then to approve the MOA agreement with the Auerbach School of Occupational Therapy as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Breeden, second by Mr. Dickerson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Looks like Ms. Clark did stay with us. Contracts for mental health service provider.
There are no change in those contracts. They are the contracts that were presented to you at this time last year with an exception of Astra, and I brought that to you guys at the beginning of the school year. So again, it's to approve the request for Astra, JP Interventions, and Communicare to provide services to our students within our schools, basically providing them a location to service our kids during the school day.
And as far as it being the 3, some of that is there to allow the flexibility for families whenever it may come to their insurance carrier that they have?
Yeah, all
Or the
three.
specific services that one of them might have?
All the above, yes.
Okay.
Different agencies offer different services, and then each of these different agencies also accept different insurances and have different policies, so.
So we just kind of act like a intermediary to say, here's an option for you if you'd like to follow up with this person and or this person at these 2 different places.
Yes, that's correct.
So then we need a motion to approve the request for Astra Behavioral Health, JP Interventions, and Communicare to provide services as indicated in the MOAs in all Nelson County schools for the 2018-19 school year.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Breeden. Second by Mr. Dickerson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Clark. Item 7C, the NTI, non-traditional instruction application for 2018-2019.
Yes, for Ms. Williams, who's our NTI supervisor for the district. Again, she's out. She asked me to present this. It simply has to be noted in a board meeting that the board agreed to participate in the NTI program like we had the last 2 years. Basically, it's we put forth the exact same procedures, and it has to be in the minutes of a board meeting that you all have accepted us to be able to participate.
And for parents or families that might not be familiar
Best
with
days.
NTI, it's the best days that we had 3 or 4 this year? 5? We had 5 this year.
And we're allowed a total of
10.
Maximum of 10. So we would need a motion to approve the request for the non-traditional instructional application for 2018-2019 school year.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Berry,
Second.
second by Ms. Breeden. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on then to 7D, middle school football. Mr. Morganson, Ms. Emma.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. Something that actually kind of started at the beginning of this school year. I know we're both first-year principals, but something that we've had conversations in regards to is middle school football. Something that we've struggled with, and I'm going to talk about Bloomfield Middle School, is we've struggled with the number of students coming out and participating and being active members of our football team. And over the years, we've seen that number just dwindle to where we're having a lot of our 6th graders having to compete against 8th graders. So we're struggling with just the number of young men coming out and combining and creating our football team at Bloomfield Middle School, and I know OKH has struggled with that as well. And then also we're struggling with such low numbers, and of course with our 6th graders having to compete with 8th graders, just competing. And we've seen that we've struggled in that area as well, which I think has led to us at Bloomfield Middle School really promoting football in a positive manner. I think kids see it and it's not enjoyable. Their passion's not there, and so that's something that we've talked about with a committee, and we've had several stakeholders that are here tonight in regards to that. And what we're trying to do is think about what's best for our students and what's best for our football programs. And the proposal that we've got in place is that we combine Oak Kentucky Home Middle School football and Bloomfield Middle School football and join one team to increase the numbers of the young men coming out. Also, our ultimate goal is to have 2 teams, one 7th grade team and then one 8th grade team. But overall, our job at the middle school level is we're trying to prepare young men for the high school level. And what we're trying to do is get our kids prepared at the middle school level to feed our 2 high school programs. And I truly appreciate Coach Strunk and Coach Bobbitt. They're on this committee as well, and their input and what our vision is to help them overall. But ultimately, our job is to help our young men at our middle schools and get that restored. So our proposal is just to get the 2 schools combined.
So do we have it, like, the fine tune, this sort of where you're gonna do this, and, you know, is there a plan to name this team, and,
Yes.
you know, and,
Yes,
I mean,
there
I
is.
remember from when, you know, my boys had one that played for OKH, I had one that played for Bloomfield Middle, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
And, yeah, and so how does that work as far as competing with other school districts?
Well, currently we're in a conference comprised of Barstown, Spencer, Taylor. We've already sent that proposal over to let them know this could be a possibility. And Tom Sullivan, he works for Marion County Schools, is looking at a schedule where we'll be competing with those. Because like I said, in years past, there's actually currently 2 divisions, an A division and a B division. Bloomfield and Oak Kentucky Home both are in the B division. We just can't compete with the Taylor counties, the Spencer counties, the Barstown, just based on our numbers and based on our kids that are active. So our ultimate goal is to take one team and we would move over to the A division and compete against those teams and be competitive to, like I said, to where kids enjoy the game, where they get that passion back, and that carries on through the middle school up to the high school.
Where's home base gonna be?
Practice facility would be at Oak Kentucky Home Facilities, and then both high school coaches have agreed to where ultimately we're going to play most of our games at Nelson County High School, but Mr. Bobbitt has also said, hey, we'd like for you guys to come out and play on our field as well, since we're feeding both high schools.
And how are you gonna get the kids from Bloomfield Middle to OKH?
Transportation, one of the requirements is going to be that 2 assistants get their CDLs, and we're saying 2, just in case we want to have one main person get their CDLs, but if something happens, they can't be there, that we have a backup plan, and we would bus those kids over to Oak Kentucky Home and then transport back to Bloomfield Middle School.
So this is similar in principle and purpose, like what New Haven and Boston started doing, what, about 5 years ago? Was it?
Correct. Yes, sir. When I first came to the district several years, I'm not going to tell how long ago that's been. It's been several. When I first came to the district, that was the same format that we had in place then. But eventually, both schools grew enough to where we could host our own football teams. And currently, at the state we're in now, we're just back to the other side of it, to where we just need to look at the possibility and proposal of joining teams to get that 8th grade team to where we want it to be. That way they're competitive and beating our high schools. And ultimately, like I said, our ultimate goal, hopefully with numbers over time, is that we form 2 teams, a 7th grade team and an 8th grade team, and build that process up.
I know that, and I don't know whether this is a Mr. Brown question or a Mr. Hawkins Smith or one of you all. I know that one of the pieces, whenever this information was just shared very high level with us, had to do with how the pay for the coaches and assistant coaches would be. And just simply put, is it going to be the same approach as what we've got with is it the Southeast Nelson Rams with that program?
I personally don't know what they have in place, but our proposal is that we have 1 head coach and then we'll have assistants that support that.
Mr. Hawkins Smith, can you
Yes,
answer?
well, what I just said, the principals, if it's helpful in the transition year, obviously you have in middle school football, you have the ability to have 1 head coach and 2 paid assistants. I believe last year, OKH had 2 paid assistants, Louisville only had 1 paid assistant, if I remember correctly.
Yes, sir.
What I've said to the principals here, in that first transition year, if you need more coaches than you typically would have on a middle school team, because you're going from this to this, does that make sense? You need, as a transition piece, I've said the district will support whatever's in the best interest of those kids in that transition year. So I'm going to rely on the principals. I think Mr. Brown agrees to tell us what's in the best interest of that program to get it started off right.
Okay.
We would, Tim and I discussed, we would not be spending any more money than what is currently being spent at Old Kentucky Home in Bloomfield. There'd be no additional money spent. Could even be a little less, we'll just have to wait and see. But we want to be really supportive. Tim's been extremely supportive, and we're going to work out transportation and stuff. We have buses. Our problem is bus drivers, as you all know. So we can make this happen. And I would like to thank Kyle and Coach Strunk, because Coach Strunk's been very involved, even though he's just been hired and stuff. And also the Nelson County Little League Football has been very involved in this. And our 2 principals have taken the lead, and they've done a good job of organizing and looking out for the best interest of both of their schools' young men.
Well, I mean, I think it's an opportunity to keep the football program alive. You know, I mean, it really is.
And reinvigorated again.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, it's a fact. I mean, it's numbers are declining, and I think it's being seen on the high school level as well. I think the interest just isn't there, and I think this will kind of help with that.
Yeah. If I could share a few numbers with you all so you can get a perspective here. Back when Kyle was in high school and when he was playing middle school and different things, and I can go back that far, there was one high school and we had about 60 to 65 kids on the team. Well, right now we have 2 and we have 65. So the number hasn't changed because we have more schools. Back then we had about 70 kids playing middle school football. Well, if you add Bloomfield and New Haven and Old Kentucky Home again, that's about what you got. We just have it spread out more now than we did. So, this is a good kind of consolidating back to the way it was a few years ago.
The transportation is the big thing for me. As long as the kids have, because a lot of parents are still working and they can't come get their football player. And I'm a football person, so anything we can do to make it more manageable for parents and those kids get involved again, because we all know kids come to school for sports, some of them. A lot of them come to school so they can play sports, and their mom and daddy can hang that over their head to make their grades too. It goes hand in hand. So I'm all for it. Anything that will help develop, because to me it's a win-win. They're going to both schools and it would work.
Well, when we talk about helping football in Nelson County, I mean, it's helping starting with our youth league all the way up through to our high schools. I mean, and those people are active members of our committee. And Mr. Simpson, I don't want to leave him out. He's come on board with us as well at Nelson County High School. So I want to thank him as well. But like I said, it is starting from from grade level all the way up through. And our ultimate goal is just get that passion, that drive back for football and help our 2 high schools out.
Yes, I agree.
So will funding be basically split, 50/50 between the two schools? I mean, is that how you are going to do that? I mean, how's that going to work?
Like booster club type of
Yeah. Like, how is that going to work?
In regards to the logistics of like concession stand game,
Well, who's going to get the money? Is
well, I think that'll be kind of goes to both schools and work that out.
It'll be
Yeah.
a team,
Yes,
single thing.
yes. It's a
between
collaborative effort.
Mr. Morganson and Mr. Hanloser will handle that logistical part of it, and we're hoping that they'll be able to self-support themselves.
I think what we might be looking at here is learning from what Southeast Nelson Rams have done and how they've dealt with it, because again, you've got 2 schools there that's actually there's a 3rd school that students are pulled from there, because we've got some St. Catherine students that also play for that group. So I think whenever we talk about Booster Club, which we know parents and Booster Clubs are an essential part of any of these programs, whether it's athletics or the arts, we'll end up with, all parents working together, hopefully all parents working together for that funding, and it's not that the funding would necessarily go towards one school building, it's going towards that program that multiple, in this case, 2 school buildings share that program. If the parent, I assume if the parent booster group decided that they wanted to spend money on uniforms, then it's regardless of which school the kids are coming from, they're being bought for that group, that team, that is that combined set of students.
Yes, sir, and we've got in place, if this proposal goes through, a meet and greet on May 15th with our parents.
And you're talking about that because I know it sounds like you've got a lot of input and buy-in from both our high school coaches and other folks as well. I mean, are you getting similar feeling from the parents of these groups?
Yes, anytime, you get those stakeholders involved, you're going to get a mixture.
Sure.
You're going to get some that says, yes, I'm all for it, and you're going to get some that has some opposition to it, and for whatever reason.
Still blazing.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And we anticipate that. That's why in May, we're going to have that meet and greet and kind of roll this out. And
y'all have even come up with a neutral nickname, correct?
yes, it's North Nelson Spartans. Yes, we didn't want it to be with anything with OKH or anything with Bloomfield. We wanted this program to be.
Stand on its own.
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say, the only reason I was asking as far as like on the pay pieces, and I agree, we've got to figure out how to make sure we get off to a good foot. In my opinion, we want to make sure long-term though that we have some similarity in the approaches we take with both of our combined teams, so that we don't have one that's receiving extra support than another, because I don't want one team to end up losing out on that.
But we would like it's not necessary, but we would like the board to show their approval of this plan for Ms. Hanloser and Mr. Morganson to continue in what they've said.
Did you still have some more questions, Mr.
No, okay.
Okay, so then I assume then we need a motion in support of combining the 2 teams from Bloomfield Blazers as well as Okotoks County Middle School Wildcats into, what was the name again?
North Nelson Spartans.
North Nelson Spartans.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Breeding. Second by Ms. Breeding. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you all for your hard work on that.
Thank you.
Moving on into item 8, student and stakeholder or shareholder engagement. 8A is guest comments. Guest comment policy, any person wishing to address the board may do so by following these rules. Individuals representing themselves are limited to 3 minutes. Individuals representing a group are limited to 5 minutes. Please step up to the microphone, state your name and address, and if you represent a group, state the name of the group you are representing. Okay, so then we will need a motion, going on to item number 9, a motion to convene executive session per KRS 61.810 sub 1 sub F for discussions that may lead to the appointment of an employee. Motion by Mr. Dickerson,
Second.
second by Ms. Breeding. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. So we will now adjourn into executive session.